Curtis Blaydes beats Tom Aspinall. Does Curtis Blaydes become interim champion? So the question is, can an interim championship have a lineage and be defended? Of course, is my answer. Am I wrong? Of course it's defended. It's a 5-round fight. Let me just give you the evidence I have. I've assumed that it's defended, but there isn't a precedence because it's never happened before. We've never defended an interim championship. I personally disagree with that. By the way, Colby Covington was interim champion and woke up one day and wasn't. And I don't agree with that. I feel that undisputed champion returns. Should have kept that belt. But before we relive that, and I'm telling you that because as much as I love to use the word precedence and juxtaposition and tell you about history, there are things that we did in the past and we learned what not to do. Like we don't go and repeat something just because you can get an example. This is what we did here. There's times where you get it wrong. So I obviously assume the interim championship is on the line. Have I actually been told that? No. But I have actually been told that Curtis versus Tom is a 5-round fight. And if the interim championship is not, guys, I realize what I'm stating might be the obvious for you. It's a big deal because this question got asked. And I was very quick to say, yes, of course it's being defended and move on. But now I want to break down what my reasoning was. Okay? So first off, it's a 5-round fight. Why would it be 5 rounds if the title's not up? I'm sure you can have an answer to that. But secondly, if the title is not up, that would mean the title became vacated. Right? Like if Tom is champion and walks out there as champion and fights Curtis, if Tom doesn't win, but you're saying the title wasn't up, and therefore Curtis doesn't become champion. Okay, but then Tom is just no longer the champion. It would have to be vacated, right? Now, I'm working back in a silly manner, but all of these details matter. Every small thing matters. I have challenged the community, you guys, to try to figure out and tell me why George Masvidal never defended the BMF belt. George Masvidal is a retired BMF champion. He never lost that belt. Now, it wasn't because he didn't fight. It wasn't because he was hurt or sick or held it up or contract dispute. He did fight. The belt was never defended. And I've challenged you to tell me why. Once you knew the answer, it's a blindly obvious. Like, there's no trick question to this, but I have challenged you. And I've had reporters, and I've had people in the UFC office had to text me, tell me the answer, I want to know. I've never told it, but I've had a lot of guesses, and none of them have been right. So, take that. Take what I just said. Then, this one's going to be really hard for you, okay? When Justin Gaethje defended the BMF title against Max Holloway, they did not make scratch weight. Not only did they not make scratch weight, they did not have to make scratch weight. Now's where things get confusing. And I'm bringing those two together. You're going to get ideas on Masvidal. You're going to get ideas and you're going to start to guess it. But whatever your idea is, I'm now giving you that piece of info. The BMF 5-round championship fight does not have to make scratch weight. And now you're going to be confused. But now's the time where you start to realize why every one of these words matter. You cannot assume the title is up. Now, we only have one way of doing undisputed championships. And therefore, because we've only done it one way, we have a real comfort when the undisputed champion fights that the undisputed championship is up. And we've never gone against that, but it's still not something you should take for granted. And I want to tell you that because the only place where we have a precedence where that hasn't disrupted is within the undisputed championship. We do have disruptions within the interim championship. For example, the one I gave to you a moment ago, which is Colby Covington, who was the interim champion and never lost. And one day woke up and was no longer the interim champion. He'd go everywhere he would, he'd take that belt. Every interview he did, he could bring that. One day he really got to leave the belt behind. And the same thing goes for the BMF, right? In the form of George Masvidal, where you had a champion, but you did not put the belt up. Like, we take for granted that the undisputed title is up. If you don't put it up, you now have a pro wrestling situation. And Ric Flair used to love to do this. He would have a non-title match and have Dusty Rhodes beat him. And then all of a sudden they put the title match up and the tickets are a little bit more, or it's on closed caption. It's a pay-per-view scenario. But now the audience knows Flair could lose the belt. We know Rhodes can beat him because Rhodes just beat him. Flair's still the champion because the belt wasn't up. But tonight that could all change. And as much as a simple trick as that might sound, you think it'll never happen in MMA. It happens in MMA right now. Max Holloway's next fight is not guaranteed to be for the BMF belt. As a matter of fact, popular opinion will tell you Max's next fight is not for the BMF belt. So it's happening right now. You can't tell me that it's a silly topic. And it's one where I think I just opened your eyes a little bit. Because I do believe a moment ago, had I suggested it, and I had you going down an undisputed road, you said, of course the belt is up. But now I've proven to you, not always, right? No, it's not always up. So does Tom have to defend the belt opposite Curtis, which only means if Curtis wins, can Curtis win it? Or can it go into Vanishville? I'm going to say, of course it's up. And I'm going to say I have evidence. No, I don't have anybody that says it's up. I don't have a contract. I haven't seen it. I didn't hear those words come out of the boss's mouth. But I do know that it's a 5-round fight. I do know there was a conversation at one point. Does it go main event or does Leon go main event? So if it's in this conversation, it would all tell me that the belt's being defended. But when I got asked that question today, it's not as obvious as one might think. And Curtis Blaydes is a very curious case to me. I do not know what our community's problem with Curtis is. And I've asked you many times. Many times I've looked right at this camera and I've asked. I got the biggest audience of anyone in the space. I've asked you guys, the Eagles, the smart ones. And I've never gotten an answer. I mean, Curtis Blaydes does what generally if a guy does, you love him, becomes a huge star. Curtis Blaydes fights anybody. Curtis Blaydes wants the hardest matches. Curtis Blaydes is well-rounded. Curtis Blaydes is handsome, young, tall. He's in the perennial weight class. I mean, I remember a time that Curtis Blaydes wanted to fight a guy named Francis Ngannou. Everybody was scared of Francis. You, the audience, didn't quite know who he was yet, but the locker room did. They didn't want to fight him. So Curtis fought him for less than 30 seconds. And Curtis begged and demanded to get to fight him again. There was only one opportunity they would do, and that was after everybody else said no, and they were left with Curtis. But Curtis, for that opportunity, had to fly to a different continent to do it. He did. And he lost even faster. And Curtis begged to fight him a third time when no one else would fight him. And I only bring that, man, that's the kind of guy we like. That's the kind of guy we respect. Where was Curtis's like and where was his respect? And I've always been lost on that. Curtis Blaydes is the underdog against Tom Aspinall. Fly into enemy territory and get beat. But it's something that he's already done. He already flew into enemy territory, known as England. He already fought Tom Aspinall in a 5-round affair at 265 pounds. He got his hand raised. I know there's a riddle to that. But where is the appreciation for Curtis? Where has this all come from? How could it even be a topic that Curtis could perhaps win and not win the belt? And you know what? If it was anyone else, I don't think that topic would have come up. I feel as though the rules have been especially hard on Curtis Blaydes. And I don't know why. I don't know where this is coming from. And nobody has answered me.